All right, hey guys, it's Turek, and happy Thanksgiving to any and all who celebrate that. Also, I'll swing this down a little. And today we're gonna do the uh, the review of chapter 1099 of One Piece. It came out late last night, my time. Was hoping to do this yesterday because of Thanksgiving, but we'll get this. I'll just get this done now and get on with my turkey stuffing. So the last chapter was one of the saddest ones we've had, and I'm glad we're moving on to now stuff. We got we got Kuma. We're continuing Kuma's backstory. We're doing a multi-chapter now. I think we're up to like 5 chapters now of his backstory. I'm actually I'm actually just realizing like this is feeling like a long backstory to me, but then I just realized this is the first time I've ever read through a backstory of someone of flashback live. I've always done these after they were all out. I was for a while there trying to keep up with this with Wano when I re-caught up on One Piece after over a decade of not doing seeing or reading any of it. I uh I I caught up right at the Wano part of Wano where Luffy was still in the prison and Big Mom entered. And I was trying to keep up then, but I was on and off. Not I would like miss weeks of the chapters, months even, and then I'd catch up. And I was in school at the time, and then I was moving. And by the time I got to the location I live at now, the Odin flashback was already over, I believe, and well after that, I'm sure. And I got to read through it faster. And then Kaido had a very small flashback about 50 chapters ago. I was hoping that was going to be a multi-chapter flashback, but Odin's was the one we got. I guess there's just like with Kaido. The most important thing we wanted to see through Kaido's eyes was what happened at God Valley, and we didn't get to see that because I think Oda is holding off on it until Blackbeard and like his relationship maybe with Rocks, so that the flashback then might be shown through the eyes of Rocks or Roger or something like that rather than Kaido. Also, that's probably why too we got to see a little more of what happened at God Valley through Kuma's flashback 4 or 5 chapters ago, but not enough to satiate what we really want to know, and especially like what Rocks is like. We didn't see. Oh, they didn't even show Rocks in that one. We just saw him talking. Then he runs off, and he's Whitebeard and everyone saying what the hell and stuff. And um, so now where was I going with that? I lost my train of thought. Oh, the flashbacks. Yeah, Kuma's flashback here is I think we're gonna probably have only one more flashback chapter. I'm assuming because kind of where this ends off, it's like leading very close to the present point. Um, Shit, I need to find a timeline page ahead. So I don't know where I put that. I'll have to find it later. So the last chapter ended with we're going through Kuma raising Bonney, which we now know is not his real daughter. Sadly, like he didn't marry. So I just realized too they were clever about that. If Oda was, I know, yeah, Oda was clever. This is a sad thing, clever thing Oda did. If Kuma and Ginny had gotten married when she wanted him to, and they'd had a child, had Bonnie, if they had named her Bonnie, when Ginny proposed, so that was Bonnie would have probably been around the age now. Bonnie's real age right now would probably be about what she always appears to us as in her 20s, right? Because Kuma, see, that was 26. Kuma was 21. Yeah, Bonnie would probably be like about 25 or so. I'll pull up the math on that later. So yeah, Bonnie, Oda was clever there. That's a sad thing, sad truth there, I guess. He's just too bad that that's how it played out. Bonnie ended up, Ginny, we found out, ended up being born about 13 years ago, 12, 13 years ago. So Kuma's raising her. He's back in Sorbet, and he's taking care of people again, and he's taking care of Bonnie because she's got this disease that won't let her go outside. and the chapter ended with finding out that the king had come back and was taking notes from what happened in the Goa Kingdom 12 years ago, and trying to burn down villages where the senior citizens live there to get rid of some of them in order to make it easier for his country to be part of the world government. This king, I think clearly has like some aspirations to be more like a celestial dragon, and I think they even say in this one he has the backing of the celestial dragon, something like that. So let's start the chapter. We start the chapter here with Kuma seeing we see people watching their village burn, and this guy they're making this guy. Actually, you know what? I just realized another tangent too. I like how Oda overall is making out this how badly these kings are in monarchs in general in One Piece. It very much reminds me of, and I think Oda must be taking notes on, in particular, very corrupt monarchs throughout history, especially European, Middle East, excuse me, throughout the Middle Ages. You had many decadent and sometimes often corrupt rulers in Europe, and not even just monarchs. Sometimes like the popes. I think the pope that I don't know much about except the fictional version of him in Assassin's Creed 2 and Brotherhood, Rodrigo Borgia, and how they were very decadent. I think they made 2 TV shows about them. I wonder if that was anything to do being influenced by Assassin's Creed's success. So yes, Oda's taken a very good note here, like showing off how these leaders in general can be very corrupt, and how the system of how these leaders rule, and how everyone expects them to, be their like just hoping, I guess, that they're going to be good leaders is not going to work in their favor when you have people like this and you don't keep them in check, so to speak. And the Revolutionary Army's coming in into places and trying to fix this. But what I'm thinking too there is it really will have to come to like people, to govern themselves in some of these places. It would having like an elected monarch maybe, or not even. I can't even really call it a monarch. It shouldn't be. You wouldn't want it to be an absolute monarch. You want to have it be someone who like it, you can never have the ideal stuff because there's always going to be human corruption. But like, if I was like thinking of a system like this, where the monarchy is uh, an elected official of sorts, I'd have it so like well, that wouldn't work either. I was thinking like the bodyguards or the counter. There's like a type of bodyguard. The military edifice itself. That's what I should say. Can choose not to listen in certain times if they think the king's gonna be corrupt. So, because I'm thinking about this right here. So in this section here, the this king is uh burning down stuff and having his corrupt his military cause harm to people, and so Kuma comes in here, and Kuma comes and he starts fighting the people, fighting the guards, and taking on this stuff, and fighting back because all these people are starting to get hurt. We even see a lot of the elderly people that are able to walk. They're taking some of their friends and family and all heading into the church here. And Kuma's in a rage, much like you saw him like when he was when Ginny was lost to him, where he just goes all out. He's not the pacifist anymore, and it actually that's the I forgot that's the name of this chapter. It's called The Pacifist, but you can see clearly he is the type that will not be a passive, won't lie down anymore when he sees injustices. So, not like Luffy really. Um, he Luffy right away, ever since he was a kid, wanted to uh, fight injustices. Kuma doesn't want to fight or hurt anyone, but as he's grown up and then he worked with seeing this corruption in his own place, and then joined the revolutionaries, he understands now as an adult that he has to, and But when he does it, he goes into like a bloodlust sort of thing where he's not going to hold back, and he might real easily, in his case, harm people. Whereas Luffy, I think, would be often more careful about actually trying to kill, say, soldiers or marines who get in his way if he's trying to take out uh, someone more who's the leader who needs to be stopped. Um, so Kuma and that king, they face off. The king sees Kuma coming. That is, uh, and the king's like just saying, "You can't do this to me. I'm the king. I'm your ruler. I'm chosen." He's got that chosen by God mentality that like the again the monarchs of old and in the middle how was it in the Middle Ages had, and he tries he's trying to intimidate Akuma that way, but it doesn't work. Kuma because Kuma you see as Kuma's coming at him, we've seen the people. We even got this sad panel of a woman probably holding her husband and crying because he must have died in the fires. So Kuma's got his head straight, thinking, "You as a king don't deserve to be our leader. This is you're causing harm, and you're trying to justify it for the good of the people," type thing. The greater good he mentions at one point, and Kuma goes in and destroys the castle that appears here. Let's get this up a little bit. He destroys the castle and with his bubble attack, it just crushes it. Uh, and Bonney too at one point is watching all this, and she's like, "Oh my! I've never seen Kuma like this or Daddy like this before." Um, and we get a little text box here showing that this Kuma defeated everyone here, the bad guys, and the text box reads, "This day would go down as history as a Sorbet's one-man revolution." And so now we switch to after the fighting's all over. First, we go to Marijois actually, and a report comes to Saturn and the others. They show Saturn, but it looks like he's in the room where the others would be. They're focusing on Saturn obviously because Saturn's has the role to play with with Kuma later. So it's the report is about how Sorbet's the other guy Barkelli or whatever got uh, ousted, and and now Kuma's the king. Uh, so the report actually goes like this: the Marines like, "Oh, there's my lord, a new king has been chosen. Seems Sorbet has chosen himself a new king." And Saturn's like, "Wow, that's odd. Who did they choose now?" And they got this kind of doom thing. I think they got these little text over him, and so I this is the thing too. I understand Kuma wants to take this up to help his people, but uh, I just was really worried that this is how he was going to be found out by the world government about who he is. But I think they don't yet. Wait, no. How did that work later? I'll have to check later. No, they do. They actually no, they do later, don't they? I have to reread this again myself. All right. But anyways, now we go to the celebration in Sorbet. They are rebuilding the castle, uh, and you see in the streets here that people. It looks like Kuma's probably not wanting to be the king. He's trying to say no. You should pick someone else. But the people in the streets are all screaming his name, like chanting it. I should say, and uh, oh, okay. So this king, there is something here with the kings being somehow chosen or something. Because so Kuma accepts the first. Kuma accepts the kingship officially, but he has someone else take up the role who was the king before. Apparently, he chooses to be the king, take the role, but he stays in the church because he still wants to take care of Bonney. And yeah, I'm thinking he doesn't want to move Bonney to the castle. He just wants to live a simple life, of course, as well. And he uh I mean, you get this point. We get the exposition of this through like some of the other senior citizens come over and like, hey, Kuma, King Kuma, my hip is killing me. Can you help me out again today? And Kuma's like, please stop calling me that. I'm just the figurehead. I have the bulldog son is one who's is really running the country. Please refer to him as Your Majesty and all those. Um, what do you call those? Um, um, and this is really fun. The other guys, the other people, are like, yeah, he was our old king, and he was pretty good. It's just we and but I don't know. Yeah, so we found out this other guy was a good king before Barsali, but he must have been. I wonder if that means they have some kind of elections of sorts, like I was just talking about, or he got kicked out, much like we've seen stuff before, like with how Doflamingo did that with the other guy with Viola's father. Uh, so now this is what this is we just get this thrown at us. We find out when now we meet Bonney here after she's eaten her devil fruit. And we don't know where she even gets it from. Um, uh, so now Bonnie's just running around in her adult form. Uh, uh, um, yeah. So Bonnie just has eaten the devil fruit already at this some point here. Never, and she's in the church. So someone did one of the elderly people sneaking into her? Was it in some crate of fruit, some food she had? She's running around now using she's aged herself to look like an adult now, or at least like a teenager, because she's still like, this is still supposed to be. See, what year was this? Wait a minute, let me check. Was this 7? I think she was supposed to be 7 at this time, right? This is still like 3 years ago, right? Mm-mm. It would be 5 years ago. Excuse me. Um, so she's running around, and everyone's like, after these people are talking to Kuma, like they're like looking at the, because some of these people just walked in, like, who's that walking around, running around like that? Is that Ginny? Is she? I thought she passed away. And everyone's eyes are popping out, and even Kuma's like, what? Ginny came back from the dead? But it's like, uh, and Ginny just comes up to Ginny. See, I'm gonna be using the name, switching names around a lot too. So Bonnie comes up to him and is like, "Hey guys, what's wrong? I'm just working out. I want to be ready to set sail when I turn 10, like Daddy and I promised." And that's when they figure out who she is. Oh, she doesn't even realize she's done this yet. Okay, she looks in the mirror and she's like, "Wait a minute, how come I look like a teenager now?" And then like everyone's like, "Oh my god, you ate a devil fruit!" And they yell it so scream it so loud she actually pops back into her normal form. And one of the elderly people pull out the encyclopedia and like, oh, is this the age fruit? Where did she find it? And then one of her friends, it's the one guy with the hat. And then one guy, while that's happening, one guy's like, how does it work? Do you have to chant words to make yourself word age? And she's trying to force herself to make it look like an old lady now. She's trying to force it. And and Kuma's just like, oh, Bonnie, careful, using a devil fruit this devil fruit probably will be using your stamina. Your body won't be able to take it. Uh, so then at that moment, a bulldog, is it bulldog? Yeah, bulldog, the comes in to meet with Kuma and bring some the talk with him, and Bonnie's like, "What are you? Who are you, old timer?" All right. So, anyways, when Bulldog comes in, he comes in with his mother, and this is the woman we see Bonnie kind of look like. when we saw this when Bonnie was sneaking around at um, Reverie, she does this form to sneak past some guards to convince them she's this woman. This is Connie, who's the mother of Bulldog, I believe. If I get it, yeah, mother of Bulldog. And there's a funny moment here though, where because she looks kind of like the similar hair. Wait, does that mean she's related to Ginny? And, because of the hair. There's a funny one with the guy with the hat. He picks up Connie and thinks that Ginny actually had successfully used her fruit to age herself up. And this moment though is marked by the part now where we find that this is where the government has now must have found out about Kuma. Um, no, they say it's Berkori's doing, but this is where Kuma has been gets slandered. Or is it libel? How do they say it? As a tyrant. The bulldog brings a paper showing that Kuma is an evil tyrant who kicked Bakori out of the country, and he did all that damage. That Kuma did all this damage to Bakori, and turn it was the one actually did. Uh, at this point, Kumar's thinking, I can't just stay here anymore because this is getting too. This is gonna because Bakori's apparently the Bulldog advises them that this seems like the world government's gonna help Bakori be installed back in. I've heard that he might already have battleships on the way, and Kuma's like, I don't want him to come back either, but I shouldn't stay. And he tries to say, Bulldog, you should take the throne again. So yeah, so what's happening now is Kuma plans on leaving, and this is so he actually that's right. So now he's gonna actually have to take Bonnie out to sea. I don't know why I didn't wrap my head around this. I read this a few times this morning, but like in my head, I read it too fast, and then I'm like, oh wow, this is actually means because now he told Bonnie he'd take her out to sea when she's 10, but I think that like I said, she's 7 now. Um, so now he says he's gonna leave because he knows he'll be hunted. Um, so yeah. Oh look! And in that moment while that's happening, Bonnie's practicing her age powers, and it shows her next to Connie, and then how she's changed herself to look older. And yeah, she looks exactly like Connie, which now making me think is Ginny and Bonnie related to Bulldog then? No wait, he's planning on leaving himself first. Okay, I thought he. Oh okay, no. I see. I thought he was taking it with him. No, he doesn't till late. Okay, so how does he do this? Okay, so now he's asking Bulldog and the others to take care of Bonnie while he leaves, and and yeah, he sets out on a little dinghy like ship like Luffy had, and he's going out there and right as he's leaving, yeah, the Marines show up with King Bakori on there, and they try and take him down, but of course they stand no chance against him, and he just smites them all with his devil fruit. So this is something that probably just rage. I did a video. I put it up yesterday. I recorded a while back. I was wondering if the Kuma's bounty was one he gained when he was as a revolutionary. And I was wondering like if Dragon has one like that and stuff. But we see Kuma's wanted poster here. Uh, Now he's branded as a pirate instead, the tyrant Kuma, and so I think his bounty was at 296 when it's frozen by the government when he takes up a warlord position later, uh, and so this yeah he must not I don't know I'm trying to figure out if they would show bounties still though for them as the revolutionaries. And wait, I gotta pull something up quick. Now we get a moment though where Bonnie's pouting to her, like she's sad she can't go with him, and Connie's trying to take console her and stuff, and it is she's still, and yeah, she's still got all the you can start seeing too at this point that the sapphires are going across her right. It's on her right side, up and down her forehead. So later on, she'll have that little earring like right here and stuff. So what Kuma starts doing now is now that he's out at sea, he takes this opportunity and starts going around to other islands to look for a cure for Bonney. And what we start seeing here is he's visiting all these islands. He eventually sends the Straw Hats to. Um, the first one we see is the one where he sent Chopper to. Uh, oh yeah, one more thing too with Bonney. Bonnie, then she's done talking to, when she's done with Connie, she's like, when I'm 10 years old, I'm gonna be cured and I'm gonna go out and be a pirate just like my dad. And Connie's like, okay, well, wait and see. Because Connie's is probably worried too, like that Bonnie will die soon when she's about 10, or escalate. Ella escalate by that point. But she's and then Bonnie's like, I could look like an adult right now if I wanted. Of course, I just be 10 technically and leave, but I'm thinking at this point that I was talking in my other video about her fruit powers. She, even if she is like an adult, she definitely, the way she's acting here and how she still needs time, would need to be like to grow up mentally over the years, even if she looks physically older. She's we know her now to be as a 12-year-old. She's 12 years old in the present point, still not acting like an adult. So I'm thinking, she in like 8 to 10 years or something like that, then she'll be properly more mature. So she definitely acts like a little child still. But actually, given that's One Piece, there's no guarantee she'll ever act like an adult. Look at Luffy, of all people. Now, I was trying to speculate how the fruit powers would work with like your mentality and your maturity. And like if you were an old person who ate it, could you age down and then your brain would be rejuvenate and you can learn more and stuff. And it's clear it doesn't really work the other way. Yeah, so Kuma now starts going around. He goes to these other islands. We see the one where he's at where Mihawk is, the one that Vegapunk used to have his lab. It's at the tequila place, the bridge. He's at Weathervaria where Nami goes, and he's the one where Usopp is, and we see the Hercules, what's his name, Hercules, or I'm gonna just call him Hercules, who has the beetle outfit. Uh, and wherever he goes, he's also getting chased by Marines and pirates. At one point, look, I think it's a pirate ship. Then they're trying to catch him, and he just uses his powers to destroy their ship, or at least the mast of their ship, so they can't pursue him. But wherever he goes, he's having people like not still who don't know how to help him. Uh, like he go when he's talking to people at Chopper's Island, and I think they had like a medical library there, right? They're like, oh, that's an awful disease that she can't be in the sun. And he goes when he's at the place with where Frankie ends up. They're like, oh, your daughter has like another 5 years at best. And someone else is saying it would be a miracle if she reaches her 10th birthday, which is what he heard before from that other doctor. Uh, so now after all that traveling around and him not getting anywhere, and we even see a point where he's like just from frustration and crying. He reaches, and we see him reach meet Dragon and the Revolutionaries on what looks like Dragon's main ship, which has like a figurehead of a dragon, a serpentine like dragon look. It's kind of like shaped like that, and this is where we see Bello Betty, and when she's younger, and we actually get to see her eyes. I didn't even know who that was at first. I had to look closer because she has the goggles. She has the hat and goggles, and she's wearing a different shirt. She's not wearing that very revealing coat she had on later. And the other two guys are the giant and the who was the other guy? That the giant's right hand man. I forget her name. And I think yeah, I don't think they showed Bello Betty in the other chapter 1097, I think it was, where we got to see more of the revolutionaries. Right? So so this is the point here where they're chatting together, and we got a little bit of learning. This is the point where we learn some other things through a timeline part where this is where Ivankov and Inazuma are captured and are in Impel Down, and they're talking together about how hey, we hear you have a tyrant now. Hint, nudge, nudge, and they know he's not really like that. And then this Bello Betty asks if she can take up the captainship of the Eastern Forces, which is what she has now, and this is what Ginny had, and and because Dragon wouldn't let anyone take that position unless Kuma gave the blessing of that position to them, and Kuma's fine with it, especially since it's another sassy, headstrong woman. Excuse me. Uh, let's do that. Okay, so this also briefly they talk about Dragon talks about how Sabo and Koala are growing into fine, strong revolutionaries, and they were hoping to see you, but maybe another time. And at this point too, at this point, this is where Kuma and Dragon is going to introduce Kuma to Vegapunk to try and find a way to help Bonney. Um, this is so. When is this? This is 5 years ago. This is right after the. So this appears to be right after the. Excuse me. The incident where Caesar destroyed the Punk Hazard. I wonder if that was that what it was called before that lab, and he's now going to set up shop on that island that's going to become Egghead, and we get to see it in its early phase. And and yeah, so they end this conversation here with Bonnie. Kuma just saying, "Yeah, I want to join you guys again, but I need to help Bonnie first. And if I ever can find a cure, I'll be back at your. I'll be back in an instant to fight the good fight." And I like where Dragon goes and says when they're leaving, like, "Go where the winds of fate take you," which I think is going to make a lot of people again think about his potential Devil Fruit ability being a wind Logia esque powers. So we briefly come back to Kuma coming back to see Bonnie to pick her up because now he's gonna take her to meet Vegapunk, and we see that she's like sparring with somebody and she beats him up easily. And I love her shirt. She has a little tank top type shirt on it. It just reads "Live to Eat," and look a shirt that definitely Luffy would want to buy. And so yeah, now Kuma takes her to Vegapunk's island. It looks like it's a That's right, because it's a winter island here. And at this point, it's called the Navy Science Division Lab 8, the future location of Egghead. Uh, and then I think Kuma's still kind of fibbing to her about her being cured. He's like, "This doctor's gonna make a. I'm taking you to a doctor who will give you a checkup before you're cured." So now we get to see Vegapunk. I think this is still like yeah, 5 years ago? I keep saying. And Vegapunk at this point still has his big head. He still hasn't taken it off. Chopped it here and sent it above. And I love that shot there, how they scale it. They have Vegapunk with Deer and Kuma like huge. So so this is a very neat moment. We start with like Vegapunk, like, "Oh my God, look how big you guys are. People really do come in different shapes and sizes, don't they?" And Kuma's like, "Ah, say the same about you and that giant head." And Bonnie's in a little. He's got Bonnie what looks like a little barrel thing that has a door cut out. I'm trying to figure out how she would breathe in that though. I can't see the air holes. Um, Uh, so yeah, so this is what we all were expecting. For the first Vegapunk says, "Wow, look at our muscles. I must examine your body. You have to be a normal human, right? Uh, I must examine you." And this begs a question to me again too about like Kaido, Big Mom, or Whitebeard, and like whether or not, well, Kaido we can guess because of his horns. He's not just human, and because and we know Kuma here is not either. I'm really wondering if those other like Big Mom and Whitebeard as well are not just normal humans. If they had like some giant's blood in them, or something else like Kuma here, Buccaneer, if they were that huge. So, anyways, Kuma. Uh, uh, Vegapunk talks, sees, looks at, examines, we don't see it, but he's examining Bonney and he's like, oh, sapphire scales. I see you've been working hard to keep it from getting bad. I can cure her. And Kuma's, we don't see Kuma's reaction, but this is the bold, you can. And, and he's like, yeah, I got a medical method that's never been used, but I can do it. Meanwhile, while they're talking too, we see that Bonnie's hanging out with Sentomaru. He's when she's playing on his big axe he carries around. We saw him when he always was around with when he was at Sabaody, and she's like riding on it, almost like a teeter totter, and he's like worried that she's like gonna cut herself. It's funny she doesn't even try to use her fruit stuff in front of him. So what Kuma what he's what Kuma not Kuma excuse me what Vegapunk plans on doing is a stem cell transplant, which I had to look up how that stuff works. I read to read about it. That's something. So stem cells apparently are what we can get out of the bone marrow. They can be used to treat cancer and stuff like that. That's all I know about it. I'm just reading it through the cancer.org website here. So apparently, at this point, Vegapunk in the One Piece world, Oda's having it where Vegapunk has created or learned how to use that type of research, and he's going to use that to treat the sapphire scales to save her. I wonder if that would work. Because I remember, I think it was Tekking. He was saying that it seems to him that what Oda was going with this is with the sapphire scales was something like leprosy, and that maybe that's what so I'm wondering if that's what if stem cell treatments could actually treat leprosy. I think we have found some way to help with leprosy. I know when I was a kid, I took Bible school stuff, and leprosy was like something mentioned a lot, especially I think in the New Testament, and Jesus would heal people of it. And I think we have ways of treating it now, but it was very contagious, or still is, and it was treated people who got it back then were treated like if you're reading One Piece and you saw how Law was treated when he had his disease. That's how people in the Bible you saw like if they got leprosy, they would be ostracized and they had to live far away from everyone else. And so, anyways, this is where we must connect. I think this is where we came back to the chapter about 25 chapters ago where we saw Kuma. Yeah, this has to be where Kuma was sitting there and yeah, where Kuma and Vegapunk were talking about how his fruit powers work too, with the being able to extract pain and maybe memories. Because we see them sitting together here after he's taken some blood work of Kuma. And but first he keeps continuing and explaining a little bit. Yeah, I've got this stem cell transplant. It's an expensive procedure like that, making a cyborg. And then he starts talking about that a little more later. And at first I got confused myself and thought that's what he meant. He did the Bonney. Um, but once now Vegapunk looks at the blood work and he's like, "Oh, you're a buccaneer," and he's like, "Dude, I work for the government. Are you sure you want to be talking to me? They're gonna try and find this stuff out. They'll find this stuff out because they're always looking at my research." Uh, oh man, Oda's cucks us a little bit here again because Kuma's like for first Dragon's like not Dragon. Kuma's like, yeah, I know you work for the government, but I trust Dragon. He sent me here. I know you're his friend. You guys know each other. But again, that doesn't matter. I think this is gonna come to bite Kuma in the ass a little bit. But he came here, I think. Although he saved Bonney, so it was worth the cost to him, I'm sure. But the cucking part, what I'm saying, Kuma's asked Vegapunk, "What makes my blood so special?" And we don't get the full details here. And Vegapunk even says, "I don't have enough samples to explain it in any detail." But then it cuts off right there, and then we get to where Kuma is asked by Vegapunk to that he clone him, and so he can start making pacifistas. Um, so he's saying, yeah, I've been looking. Vegapunk goes on. I've been looking for the perfect person who could be the who can I can model my soldier project after. So he's thinking of this idea before he's gonna do the seraphims. Maybe he has a seraphim idea in the wings, but first he's gonna try the cyborg version. Uh, but he makes a deal here with Kuma. If you let me take enough of your blood samples and give me permission to make these clones, I won't charge you for what it would cost to do the stem cell treatment on Bonney. I'll waive the fees. I'll treat her for free, essentially. It'll be worth the cost. I'll have this stuff that'll make me. Well, I'm not making money. Though he'll have it for the. I don't know if he can make money off that. Can he? Will he sell it to the government, or are they just gonna take it? Um. So now, so Vegapunk just talks about Kuma's like, why do you want to make stuff like that? So now we see where again come back to how Vegapunk has very optimistic ideas about things, kind of like he talked about in front of Luffy and Jinbei about sharing his knowledge. When Jinbei saw the the one of the downfalls that could be where like people's ideologies, if having all this knowledge, could be very dangerous, and we see how knowing what happens next. This is sadly where the other downfall came from this comes of this is that, and then Vegapunk talked about he wants to make soldiers very sturdy and they can deflect bullets so that they can be like heroes and protect the weak and helpless. And he did at this point too. He's like he talked about the idea of putting lasers into them. So he hasn't studied enough from Kizuru's fruit just yet. It looks like he must have studied a little bit though, because we saw the flashback where he was a kid. Was that the part? There was something about a few chapters ago. So he knows a little bit about Kizuru's fruit, but he hasn't been able to implement that yet. But he says like, yeah, if only I could make them fire lasers, the pirates would be scared speechless. So so what I was just getting at, he definitely wants to have just like he wants to share his knowledge. He wants to he wanted these pacifistas to only fight pirates, and overall that did kind of work out in some ways. They Sentomaru uses to and in Kizu they fight off some of the other pirate, Drake and everyone at the at Sabaody 2 years ago, and then they bring them to Marineford to fight Whitebeard's forces. But it's just that given what the world government likes to also do, I could see in the future these pacifistas being brought around for like a Buster Call type situation. So it's just I like um, Vegapunk's dreaming of helping the world, but it's just he works for the worst organization there is that can use and abuse what he creates. Uh, so they just go on saying, yeah. So Vegapunk goes on, yeah, there'll be warriors of the future. There'll be no limits. And Kuma just comments, yeah, Dragon told me you were like this, that you're very open about it. And Vegapunk, oh, Dragon, huh? He's always been holier than now. Um, um, and he's like, if Vegapunk goes on to say, if this works out, consider this one of my great life's work. It'll make all my other work worth it. Um, and then I think it's like Kuma that says, no, no, yeah, Dragon, yeah, Vegapunk says Dragon won't be happy about this. Oh, that's right, happy about this arrangement because Dragon, Yeah, because Dragon was upset when they found out he may have made the Mother Flame. Yeah, so Dragon would not. Yeah, he's saying that Dragon won't like that he's making these weapons that the government will end up using. But Kuma's like, well, I can't complain about this. I need to help Bonnie. I can't stop you from doing this stuff. I know that you're working for the government, but and Dragon won't like it either. And Dragon's also my friend, but Bonnie's life is in the balance here, so he has to weigh this option that other people might get killed by this, but Bonnie's life is what he needs to think about now. He even says here, if I could cure, if I would make a deal with the devil if I could just cure Bonnie. And Kuma says, "Oh, you're quite the saint." So now we get right near the end of the chapter here, and we get someone reports to Saint Saturn because he's the head of the science division about what Kuma, what Vegapunk is doing here, uh, and how they're because he's planning on just having them be like. So he's have Vegapunk's idea is having them kind of be like heroic stuff, like he said, or be like deterrents. And Saturn goes on here like these clone soldier project. It's meant for them to be weapons, not hero. He doesn't say heroes. I'm putting words into his mouth a little bit. He just says they're meant to be weapons, and the weapon's worth is defined by how many people it can kill. And he said Vegapunk is a fool for not making the most of this chance. But no matter, I have my own ideas. I can fix this. And someone else is on Addenda Moshi who's reporting about this and says, "Yes, sir, your word is my command." And we end the chapter with Kuma saying, "Oh, going back to Kuma saying, you a saint? No, 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 I'm not a saint. I'm just a spineless pacifist. Of course, I love keeping the peace." And that's where Vegapunk did the idea. Oh, keeping the peace. I like that. I'm gonna call them pacifistas. And then that's the end of it. So now we figured out how Bonnie. Jesus, we got a lot there. We got how Bonnie got her fruit, though we don't know where she got it. We got where did sorry, I was looking at it snoring. Where the pacifistas were built, how they got there. Geez, there's just so much in this chapter to unpack. So I'm gonna leave this here today at Thanksgiving, and I gotta do my get my cooking started. I'm gonna definitely do a video on this later on. I'll unpack some of this later on in another video. Now we can see though that all this stuff is all tying together now. The last thing we don't really have here now is how Kuma got forced pressed into the warlord system and forced to become a cyborg himself. But I'll leave this here at that for another day. Thanks for watching. I hope you have a nice Thanksgiving.